Yes, guys, so we are on Water Street at the end of the embankment between Cowan Street and what was Urquhart Street before it turns south towards Tiger Bay. And what we were saying is that here at the riverfront, beyond all of these buildings, these are all industrial buildings now. GPL, Guyana Power and Light, up the street. And the molasses building, molasses storage unit. So metal tank there. And over here, this is BK International. They actually work with stones and so on. But where we are standing right now is Water Street and North Commingsburg, right? Water Street and North Commingsburg, 1 to 7. And this used to be the old Transport and Harbors Department, right? The old Transport and Harbors building. People were wondering, well, what happens in these buildings? Right now there is I think Transport and Harbors Department still operates this building. Right, this is the old workshop, Transport and Harbors workshop. And what I was saying to people who were arguing with me about trains not being possible, it's not possible to build trains in Guyana anymore. What you can see here is remnants of the old train carriage. This is a carriage, right? This is an old carriage from one of the trains that operated in Guyana. And what you can see underneath, that's the train wheels, the wheels on the train. So for those of you who are arguing with me about whether or not trains are possible, whether you can operate trains in Guyana, this is evidence that trains once operated in Guyana. This is an old, in fact, two old train carriages. You can see the wheels underneath, and you can see the carriage itself. All right, so I thought I'd come and take a look at this. This is what the carriage looks like on the inside. Like I said, now this is the old Transport and Harbors workshop, and the trains are at the end of the train line. Look at this, right? This is a train line. The trains are actually sitting on the remnants of these iron train tracks. All right, so at the end of this block, that is the division, the landmass between Cowan Street and Urquhart Street. At the end of this block, here on the embankment, is the train line, where the train line comes to an end, and where they repaired trains. So this became, after they abandoned trains, became the Transport and Harbors Department. So this is what the building looks like now. It has been abandoned for a number of years. Right, so the old Transport and Harbors workshop. You can see all of these shelves, probably where they stored parts for the Transport and Harbors Department. Right, this one seems to have some kind of filters, air filters, old air filters. It's a box of springs left over from. So this is the old Transport and Harbors workshop. Right, so for those of you who are still arguing with me about whether trains can be, right, whether trains can be brought back to Guyana, this is evidence that Guyana once had trains, and the Transport and Harbors Department here had a workshop that repaired the old trains. Right, these buildings are now not in use. This, for example, covers what seems to be canal, but what you can see is train. Right, this is the Transport and Harbors Department building. Here you can see they had a workshop, mission statement, right? Transport and Harbors Department. Mission statement to provide a safe, reliable, and efficient ferry service across major rivers and outlying regions of Guyana. That's what the sign says, right? That's what the sign says here. Pause to read it if you need. So this is what used to be the Transport and Harbors workshop. Transport and Harbors Department workshop. There's still remnants of workshop equipment and parts and engines and so on that are still out here. Sign that says no littering. There's a stack of fire extinguishers, and over here I assume this is the bathroom. This is an old bathroom building for the Transport and Harbors Department. So that's what's happening here, guys. So those of you who are still arguing with me about whether trains can be reintroduced to Guyana, this is evidence that trains once existed here, and simply building light rail in Georgetown is not something new. It would simply be returning to what was once the status quo, what was once the train station and the train engineer's workshop. All right, this is what was happening here back in the 1960s, as late as 1970. Right, as late as 1970. This is the old Transport and Harbors Department. Engineering workshop. I can still see some people operating out of this building. I see some water and a little office there. So that's it, guys. That's what's happening here at the end of Water Street. Right, we said we're at Water Street and Cowan Street, and we just saw what is the old Transport and Harbors repair shop. And of course, beyond these areas here, this is what now exists along the riverbank. Along the Demerara riverbank, you have a stone a pile of stone, which is basically a place where they bring in stones. They import stones from around the country and internationally. It's Transport and Harbors Department. It still exists here. All right, this is their central workshop building. Transport and Harbors Department. And all of this is now an industrial zone. There's really no reason to have an industrial zone along the riverbank. Transport and Harbors Department here, that's their department goods wharf. All right, Transport and Harbors goods wharf. But right here on the ground, it seems as if right on the ground here there's an exposed railway track. So there's the remnants of a railway line cutting across the street here in Water Street. Down at the end, that is south, you can see the clock tower for the Stabroek Market, which runs all the way down Water Street. So all of this is now industrial zone. and it's the closest point to the river. This street is Water Street because it used to be flooded, right? This street is called Water Street because the river would rise and this street would flood at high tide. That's how it got its name, Water Street. But now in 2024, it's not possible to see the river, and I have never seen the street flooded from river water. That is, water no longer comes up off the river. As you can see here, this is Halliburton. Halliburton is an oil and gas supplier, company that supplies equipment for the oil and gas industry. They're located here on Water Street. That's the municipal abattoir. And the point I'm making is that all of this industrial zone should be rezoned for residents. This is where you should be building the riverfront access. In other words, a boardwalk so people who live in Georgetown can see the river. Because you could live here for decades and never see the river. G-Port is another contractor for ExxonMobil, shore-based operations. Color Center is a paint shop. So all of these buildings along Water Street are industrial buildings, and we're saying they should be replaced with commercial and residential buildings. They should be malls, shopping malls, and restaurants, and high-rise apartments, and hotels, making the city more accessible, the river more accessible to the city, and the riverfront more like living beside the water. You know, it's waterfront living, which is now completely blocked off by all of this industrial zoning. And it takes political will. In other words, it will take vision, political vision, to come rezone this place and make it more livable. So that's what's happening, guys.